All right. Hey again, everyone. Craig Galbraith, Channel Futures Editorial Director, here with another edition of Channel Futures TV. And we're really pleased to welcome in Glenn Lohman. Glenn is Senior Global Partner Solutioneer for Cloud Partners with Hitachi Vantara. Glenn, glad to have you on the show.
Thanks, Craig. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so you're a cloud guy. Let's get right into it and talk about some of the key trends happening right now in the cloud market.
Yeah, Craig, it's an exciting time for sure as the market continues to move along, and we've got a lot of customer activity. I think transitioning from where their business was to where they're going, and I think I'd summarize trends in the market space around more about balancing strategies within the customer base and shifting away from pure infrastructure management, at least on the cloud side, to improving overall business efficiencies and really fast time to market. If I kind of break those down a bit, Craig, regarding really balancing cloud strategies, it's really got everything to do with the right cloud for the right business purpose, and I think that's the transition customers are going through. If we look at the legacy, and I'll call it a legacy definition, so bear with me in using that term, but moving from, when we say moving to cloud, to moving to public cloud, to moving to hybrid cloud, right? That's the difference in terms of the transition in the market. And even if though, we're seeing a high growth rate in public cloud adoption, we're still seeing that, but we're now seeing a rapid growth rate in private and hybrid cloud adoption, primarily being driven by repatriation of workloads from public cloud vendors to better balance security and cost amongst customers, where customers who've moved too rapidly to public cloud realize that the anticipated benefits of cost management and agility, they don't always fit all aspects of their business. So that's a big trend. I think secondly, and this is not only by customers alone, but if we look at what's happening in the cloud service provider space as well, which is certainly a big component of making this transition to cloud happen, is they're also shifting away from infrastructure management in some cases as well. And they're focusing on application, workload, business function management. And so we're seeing customers moving out of the data center business with the expectation that someone, a partner or someone else will manage that on-premise infrastructure for them, or literally take over the full management of the infrastructure and co-location facilities, particularly when we look at secondary sites for business continuity and, of course, better access to public cloud. And, so we're seeing that consolidation of infrastructure service providers more and more, and they're selling off that infrastructure portion of their business and focusing on application management. So that's another big trend. And I think kind of the final one for me is I think it culminates together with improving overall efficiencies in market. Customers are redefining their business and their cloud strategies. They're continuing to look to shift the overall liability from primarily themselves to themselves and partnerships. If you remember the days when, we'd go in with ask for a big PO, right? And then, hey, Mr. Customer, we'll support you. But in reality, what's happening now is that vendors such as ourselves, we've got to take more responsibility in the value chain with the customer business, and including, continue to drive down their cost of acquisition, improving their customer service, reducing their workload, on their staff, and providing really more effective green solutions to meet a lot of our customers have a strong corporate sustainability objective, right? So all of that time to market, for customers is really important. Simplification of working with vendors, packaging of cloud services. These are all interesting trends that we're seeing in the market.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk more about the customers, Glenn. What are some of the typical challenges that you're seeing from them today?
Yeah, Craig, I frankly, I don't see our customers facing any different challenges that Hitachi Vantara or our partners are facing. It's really about business transformation. We're all really in the same boat. It's a pretty fast moving world as we look at how we have to improve our efficiency to be more competitive, cost to value ratios, risk management, our go-to-market strategies, right? How fast can we get to market to get to revenue as fast as possible? Everyone is driving that, not just vendors like ourselves, but our customers in particular. So a lot of commonality there. Overall, and a lot of these drivers for our customers are, particularly moving to cloud services, they haven't changed that much over the last couple of years. I would say even the last 3 or 4 years, they've really centered around the commercials surrounding cloud usage, security, data, its access, data privacy concerns, and of course the big one is performance of cloud services for their business applications. That's a big driver, particularly when we start looking at repatriation, cost, security, and business application performance. So in general, though, I'd say that that customers, I think they tend to make the majority of the decisions still based on cost, though. And it's I think it's incumbent upon vendors and partners, Hitachi, Vantara, and our partners. It's our job to show the benefits of moving from capital acquisition to a services-based operating model. There are enormous benefits. I think we can talk about that as we progress through our chat here. But for customers who have crossed the chasm from CapEx to OpEx, I don't know if you remember, there's a great book by Jeffrey Moore, which is called Crossing the Chasm. And it's a great book talking about, improving efficiencies, right? But in reality, this is really less of an issue for customers that have crossed that chasm. But a lot of customers still have legacy operating models, IT staff to maintain and transition, legacy infrastructure on their books that they've got to figure out what to do with. And so introducing the right cloud services at the right time is always a challenge when managing costs, of course, right? And customers, they need to transition their business. No one's going to do it overnight. So, and of course, if they're born in the cloud, that's a little bit different, but that's even a more interesting point, because if we look at customers that have adopted cloud early, they're now facing different challenges, such as potential lock-in with one public cloud vendor with unpredictable and I think even untenable usage costs, right, for resources. So fortunately for our customers and our partners, we are in the business of delivering solutions that address each of these. So it'll be great to talk more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We will. So let's flow right into, you started to talk about CapEx and OpEx. So with the rise of these flexible consumption models and anything as a service, how is Hitachi helping customers to make that shift?
Well, first, I'd like to say, foremost, we've been delivering consumption-based models for at least 15 years or longer. Primarily through our custom managed services offerings that we've been delivering to a lot of our enterprise and very large global accounts. But in particular, we're seeing a demand now to simplify those deployment times, costs, improve time to market, get better visibility to all the resources deployed. And we've introduced Hitachi Everflex, which provides a choice in consumption models for our customers and partners. Think of Everflex as an enabler for packaging hardware, software, and services, and then provide them on a flexible pay-as-you-go approach. So that's the first thing to do, is providing flexible financial models in this approach. The second thing is, and I think we can't understate this, is providing a broad access to a broad ecosystem of partners to give our customers choice about who they do business with. Cloud is all about choice, right? And if you remember my earlier point saying that customers share business risk across partnerships, and that's really what they're looking for. This includes us, Hitachi Vantara, and our partners providing programs and solutions that our partners and customers can use to simplify the delivery of their cloud services, particularly partners delivering these services to their customers. And because really our partners need to deliver services to their customers the way that customers want those services to be consumed. So we have to do a bit of both. And so this all comes together, the financial modeling, making sure we have a solid foundation of a partner ecosystem that can deliver those services and choice. And of course, things we do, as you would expect, is cloud transformation services, while not forcing customers to move away from the reliable technologies that they're used to seeing from us. Making sure that they're accustomed to be able to run their business in a reliable manner. So all of that kind of comes together in the value that they get out of delivering as a service, or actually consuming as a service solutions today.
Absolutely. So you talked about a little bit. Do you want to expand on some of the benefits that your customers are seeing as they move to these consumption-based services?
Yeah, sure. I think there's definitely a trend for consumption-based services. I think it's, if you remember, the market is still sitting at a traditional way of acquiring, but there's a rapid growth to consumption services. Frankly, if we look at the trend, was really driven by public cloud vendors to reduce customer risks, improve business agility, allow customers to pay for only what they consume. And that was kind of forcing vendors such as ourselves, Hitachi, Vantara, and our competitors to offer a broader set of choices and industry services that are focused on business outcomes rather than focus on technology, speeds, and certainly immediate requirements that are in front of the vendors like ourselves. It's really about integrating our approach to a much broader view and a longer view of the customer need. So I think in the end, it's pretty simple. Customers are seeing the flexibility in paying only for what they use. I mean, that's simply what happens with an as-a-service model. This allows them to free up capital to be used for other projects within their organizations, while I think really spreading the risk over things such as infrastructure operations to vendors like us to be able to support their business as part of that value chain, as I mentioned. And a side effect of this, I think it's an important point as well, is that customers are seeing more and more innovation from the industry around these types of services that are becoming available, and how vendor sales teams are being forced to change the conversation, right? They're moving from let's talk about the immediate requirement to understanding more about the long-term business needs of the end customer. And a lot of that is because customers are being supported by vendors that now need to improve their focus on retention programs, right? So it's no longer about let's just, sell and move on to the next opportunity. We need to just sell, but actually work with the customer to maintain that we're supporting their business overall. Because it's easy for a contract in an as-a-service model to simply be canceled if the customer's not happy, right? So we've got to make sure that's a valid point. And these are things I think particularly important when we start looking at what customers are seeing as value, right, and benefits overall from moving to as-a-service consumption.
Yeah, so I'm curious, Glenn, you talked a little bit about the competition out there. I'm wondering what is unique, would you say, about Hitachi Vantara's approach to as-a-service?
We're just great, Greg. I can say no more than that. But, as I mentioned, Everflex, it's an umbrella services for packaging consumption services. So we have a very flexible, fast, contracting process. The commercials are very flexible in terms of the way we approach things. But we also provide two general approaches in our offerings for as a service to market. First of all, it's standardized package offerings and customized offerings. And those are customized as needed. And I'll give you an example. Our custom offerings allow us to look at each customer problem individually and create a solution that best fits their unique requirements. However, since we've been delivering solutions in this market for many years, we're also seeing commonalities across certain problems that customers are trying to solve. For example, something as simple as help me provision storage faster and easier. Right? Simple problem to solve. Well, not so simple, but it's something that's repeatable. So as a result, we can standardize on these solutions that enable, this repeatability through as-a-service models. I'll give you an example. Storage as a service, or we call it STaaS for short, is a hybrid cloud storage offering based on enterprise class storage that's pre-architected, pre-validated, and packaged for ease of consumption. So we're also taking the same approach to compute converged infrastructure and data protection. So when we start looking at the packaging is a unique differentiator that we're really driving to market in a bit of a different way, because it's about how do we enable partners and their customers to get to market faster and certainly getting to revenue faster. Something else we've done is we've introduced a business automation service management console that is cloud-based and provides visibility into all assets and services, regardless of where they're deployed. And we're seeing that many partners and customers that are sort of building out their capabilities to simplify their business operations, because every partner and every customer, they're in a different place in their transition in their business, right? So we need to be flexible about how we approach them. So having a centralized service management function, things such as service ordering, provisioning, management, all of that in terms of reporting, all at their fingertips, like a full quote to cash service lifecycle management, enabling customers and our partners to really elevate their business in a rapid pace. And that's really the packaging that we've done as part of the service management model. And I guess one last point, last but not least, is what makes us, I think, differentiated in the market is a truly partner-centric approach. We believe that enabling partners to deliver services quickly and effectively is really win-win-win for our customers, our partners, for us. And think about, and I try to put it this way, think about a sliding bar. And on the left-hand side, you've got partner-centric services. On the right-hand side, you have Hitachi-centric services. Our goal is to enable partners, regardless of where they are in their service maturity, is to slide that bar somewhere along the way from left to right, so they get the right amount of support they need to grow their business and accelerate their business to be able to allow customers to solve the problems that they need to solve as quickly as possible. So those are kind of the things I would articulate as some of the core differentiators.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, Glenn. So finally, before I let you go, just want you to expand a little bit, just generally on the important role that partners play in Hitachi Vantara's strategy for as a service and cloud solutions.
Craig, partners are critical and primary for us in delivering as a service. In fact, we're building our offerings specifically to target enabling our partners to get to market faster. It's part of our overall strategy, which is partner first. Our as a service offerings are built with partners in mind. And this includes, by the way, global regional system service providers, global and regional systems integrators, our resale partners, our distribution partners, our alliances partners, right, all play a key role for us in our development and delivery of as a service offerings. And I'll take one example. I'll take service providers as a perfect example, where we have programs specifically designed for them to assist in the design, development, and go to market for the delivery of our joint services. And this includes investment funding, even incenting our sales teams to, in an accelerated way, to compensate our sales teams to sell our partners' services, right? Incentive to be able to drive our partners' business, which ultimately drives our business, right? So it's a hand-in-hand model that we've got in place, and our philosophy continues to be enable our partners for success, and if they succeed, we'll succeed. We want to enable our partners with market-leading technologies and services. Any service you build is only as good as the infrastructure underneath it, right? So if you've got the best, the most reliable, highest performing infrastructure in place, you're going to have great results in the services you deliver to your customers. And overall, I think our strategy is with our joint customers and our partners is better together. And that's sort of the tagline that we're kind of pushing forward. And that's the reality of how we think within our organization. And I'll give one example before I close out. I mentioned storage as a service. I'll go back to that in a moment. It's a really good example where we're enabling from the ground up. It was designed from the ground up with partners in mind. That's not an afterthought, right? So STAS, right, storage as a service, requires partners, service providers, and distributors to be part of the complete value chain for the delivery, with core capabilities designed to meet each of their specific needs. Right. So that's pretty unique, but it's also shows you the value we have in our partnerships. It includes business automation, integration, resource provisioning, management, all the things that are expected to be delivered from us to facilitate our partners doing better business. And overall, I think if I summarize it, we can't scale without partners. The biggest change, for us, for longstanding vendors and solutions like us, is the realization that we can't meet cloud transformation needs of our customers alone. Partnerships are key. So that's in a nutshell.
Good news there for partners for sure. Glenn Lohman with Hitachi Vantara, thank you for joining me on Channel Futures TV.
Awesome, Craig. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.